So anyway, with that all said, I am going to check the Q&As. We had a couple of questions that popped up and then disappeared on me, but I'm going to see if I can pull those up. So thanks for your patience in the meantime. And this is also a good chance for any of the panelists or the speakers. If you have issues you want to raise or questions you want to ask, by all means, this is your chance. So just let me know or feel free to interrupt me. And you know, here's one that's been that was asked at the very beginning that I think Jay could maybe speak to. Jay, if you're still there.
Yep, still am, Zach.
So the question, and I don't have it verbatim in front of me, but it asked, and here it is. This is from Chris Leatherman. He asked, what economic incentives are there for educational UAS business in Colorado? And you know, I was hoping, even if you don't know specifically toward educational UAS, if you could just speak a little bit toward possible economic incentives or grants or loans that people could look into.
Yeah, sure can. You know, educational incentives, if it's all in promoting Colorado business, then it would apply. So these are incentives to promote Colorado business development. And our website has a pretty good explanation of the incentives available. I may not quite have the name, but if you just Google in Colorado OEDIT, Office Economic Development and International Trade, you would get to our website, and underneath it, you'll see a tab under incentives. And pull the incentives would explain all the incentives available for small business. And it's available to 7 advanced industries in Colorado. Aerospace is one of those advanced industries. And under aerospace, it includes the unmanned aviation systems, aviation in general, and aerospace or space. So UAS is considered, unmanned air systems, considered an advanced industry, and our incentives are available for business development within the state of Colorado. Probably the most popular grant, you'll see the incentives available. They can take the form of job or tax credits in enterprise zones or opportunity zones. You'll find a map also of where those zones are. But probably the most popular grant is a advanced industries grant. And this grant is for small businesses, emerging businesses that are growing to, I believe our minimum are 20 employees. So for a very small business, that might be hard to reach, but in 20 employees over a multi-year period, and I believe that a period now is up to 8 years. But the website will explain and be, if I'm wrong, it'll be right on our website. But those grants can be very helpful to a small business starting here in Colorado. You got to be in the state of Colorado. You got to hire employees in the state of Colorado. If you have any questions on any of these grants that will be available listed there, send me a note, an email, get a hold of me. I can get you to the right expert that can explain what those grants are, when the eligibility period is, when you apply, how you apply. It's all online. When the board meets to determine the grants that a business could be granted. So yeah, I take advantage of them. And the issue is a lot of businesses don't know those grants are available, and they can be taken advantage of. And unmanned air systems is considered an advanced industry and available. So I'm glad you asked that question, because we need to help you out. We, meaning the state of Colorado, grow your business.
Thanks, Jay. All right, let me see what else we have on the question queue. Panelists, anything you want to add at this point? Shane, Mary, Dawn?
Hey, Zach, if I could share some information about the state UAS pilot certification program, if that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
So, kind of Taylor highlighted the fact that you guys implemented one of the National Institute Standards of Technology course that we helped operationalize for the state of Colorado to certify our public safety operators. So, when we stood up the program, as everyone else has realized, you can obtain your Part 107 certificate without ever touching a drone. And so the Department of Public Safety said, well, we want to make sure our drone pilots are a little bit more prepared to go out and serve the public in the great state of Colorado. So we designed a course that will test our pilots' basic maneuverability functions. So, in all, it's really about how they can manipulate the aircraft and look at a target. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do is get that decision quality data to help us make a decision out on the field. So I can share a screen here and kind of show you what the course looks like, or at least one of the stanchions, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And Garrett, I have a photo up right now of what we did at the drone flying park. I don't know if you can see it.
I can, Taylor. That'll work. I don't need to share anything then. So what you guys can see there, that's one of the many iterations that we worked with NIST on and Adam Jacoff developed. And we're one of the first public safety agencies in the nation to operationalize this course and to begin to certify pilots. We are working with the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, to get this into NFPA 2400. And we are also, working with drone responders, Charles there, and trying to push this initiative forward and make this a standardized test for public safety. And again, what you do there, what Taylor has there is those three stands with buckets around it, and all you're doing is maneuvering your drone to look into the bucket and following a series of commands to either ascend, descend, move forward, move backward, rotate, orbit, or traverse around those three structures there. And it really, hones in your skills. For a lot of our public safety pilots, they use, ortho mapping software to, document crime scenes, accident scenes, do inspections. And so their stick time is fairly limited because they push a start button once they, make the square, and then the aircraft flies on its own. So when they come out here, it's a really good refresher for them to make sure they know how to operate the aircraft safely. Our facility is located in Rifle, Colorado. We have a 7,000 square foot facility that houses these lanes. We use that facility for other testing as well related to the projects that we do at the center. So if you're interested, I'll post the link into the chat box there so you guys can check out the training. And if you're interested, you can even register. So Zach, back to you.
Thanks, Garrett. That's awesome, actually. I'm glad you shared that. Yeah, that's a extremely helpful program, I think. So hopefully we can keep expanding on that stuff.
Yeah, and one more plug to Taylor. Thank you for making that NIST course there and having another place where people can go out and practice on that course. So thank you, Taylor.
That's my pleasure, Garrett. I hope you all consider coming out and using it as well.
Once the COVID stuff dies down and we get approved to travel, we'll be sure to be down there. So hopefully this October.
We'll be looking forward to that. And anybody out there that wants to come up and practice, it's pretty cool. Garrett, I don't know what the maximum winds are, but I've been flying it and it's been pretty windy. So maybe I can get qualified.
Yeah, that our structure removes some of those elements out. So if you can pass it on a windy day there, you can pass it with us here in our facility. So.
All right, and I just had a question pop up from Phil Crosley to you, Taylor. How does your flying park work with regard to proximity to the BV airport? He says, I don't have Kitty Hawk in front of me right now to check the airspace or lands designation for that area.
That's a fantastic question. This airport, KAEJ, Central Colorado Regional Airport, is located within Class Gulf airspace. My colleague at USI will appreciate this, I hope. The Class Echo airspace begins at 700 feet AGL. So we're Class Gulf at the airport, and the flying park is located about a mile or mile and a half west of the airport. So we are nearby, but the pattern altitudes, we should be beyond that for both the typical 500-foot pattern altitude for piston aircraft and 1,500 for turbine aircraft. Our signage will be encouraging that people have an aircraft a scanner radio to be able to monitor the CTAF frequency and be safe. And as my colleagues can attest to, when we're out there, my head goes up very quickly at the sound of any aircraft and helicopter ops, but we're reasonably clear of that. We also did present to the airport board and the management in the town, and they approved of it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Taylor. And we just had another question pop up. And this one is probably best for Vic, if Vic is. Vic, this is from Alf Gardner. Are there any pending changes to the beyond line of sight regulations on the horizon?
Not at the moment. The first stepping stone for beyond line of sight is going to be remote ID, at least for scalable beyond line of sight. So I'll start my video. Here we go. So as of right now, there's not really anything on the horizon for extended beyond line of sight or scalable beyond line of sight. It's still a very difficult, very limited waiver to get, but baby steps. The FAA is notoriously slow. I had once somebody tell me in the FAA tell me they aspire to move at the speed of government. So it's on the way. It needs UTM for the very long BB loss and some of the RID for the more scalable BB loss, but it's coming in FAA parlance.
Well, and Vic, since I've got you in the spotlight now, one of the questions I asked panelists about, where do you see everything in 5 years, both realistically and optimistically? Do you mind chiming in with your perspective on that?
Ooh, I see much more acceptance. What was it? I can't remember who said it, but the predictions are very difficult to make, especially when they're about the future. But it's, the regulations are slowly opening up. Today is a great example of that with what regulations we have now. FAA is data driven. So the more data we have, including the NASA reports, the UAS NASA reports, which is also nice. So I really encourage people to use those. But 5 years from now, I think we're going to be about the difference between where we were 5 years ago. I think we're going to have that much of an advance in that time frame. BV loss, I think, will be standard. I think delivery, drone delivery is going to be more commonplace. It's not going to be commonplace. I'm very pessimistic on that. And then urban air mobility, I think, is also going to be quite a ways away. But we'll start seeing more, and I think the acceptance of the general public is going to be huge.
And I think that's especially true with the drone delivery aspect, right? Because that's going to be one of the most in-your-face applications for residents in cities and things like that.
Noise pollution is going to be the biggest thing to overcome with that.
Right. So hopefully there will be some technological innovations on that side. We'll see, I guess.
Yep. And actually, while I'm here, I also want to pop up something real quick. I want to climb on what Don was saying about local law enforcement not being able to and I mentioned this to the panelists, but the local law enforcement, and when I do training with local law enforcement, I like to help them understand that, they can use the local laws to enforce an FAA, or not an FAA violation, but a misuse of a drone, be that either reckless endangerment. You're flying over somebody, you're probably being recklessly, in endangerment area or approaching that area. So you can use your local laws, peeping Tom laws, privacy laws, to go ahead and shut a drone operation down. It does not have to be an FAA violation to do that. So I know they know that. It's just other people who are on the call that might have heard Don mention that their hands are tied. They are tied when it comes to FAA regulations. Unfortunately, that will change as well in 5 years, I would assume. But you do have your local laws you can use.
Okay, thanks. I think that's an excellent point to bring up.
Yeah, Vic and I had an exchange
Yeah.
about that. And in my discussions with law enforcement agencies, I tell them to explore what laws they can use, reckless endangerment, video voyeurism, and so forth. They can also report violations to the FAA. The downside is again, this is not on the radar screen of local law enforcement.
No, it is not.
It's been on our radar screen for years. To the average police officer, deputy sheriff that's out on patrol, they know nothing of the regulations that affect drones.
Right. And they have so many other more important things. I mean, to us, yeah, obviously it's our life, but to them, it's just like, oh man, a drone call, crap.
Yeah. What's that?
Exactly.
Well, especially when the enforcement process involves a lot of time, them having to go to the FAA to report these violations.
Yep.
I have no idea how long that whole process takes and how often it actually results in, fines or prosecution or any of that.
Well, the FAA does have what's called the LEAP program, the Law Enforcement Assistance Program, and I would strongly encourage anybody in the first responder field to go ahead and find out who their LEAP agent is. You just Google FAA and LEAP, LEAP. It actually, ours is called, his name is Mike Bumberger. He's a great guy. He wants everybody to know who he is. He actually came on training with me when we did the Wheat Ridge Police Department. So, and he's out of SoCal. He's out of Southern California, but he wants everybody to know who he is because he wants to help law enforcement.
They have huge areas of responsibility.
Huge.
There aren't that many of them, which is unfortunate. I've been pushing a federally funded roll call training video, 5-10 minute roll call training video for the past couple of years, unsuccessfully. To just make law enforcement officers aware that there are regulations and that there is the FAA LEAP office that they can call for assistance.
Well, maybe between you and me, we can get that done.
Okay, I'll probably be retired by then, but
I won't be. And actually, Kenji and I are joining the UAST as well. So,
oh, good.
That'll be nice. Well, we're applying. We'll see.
All right, I've got one other question from anonymous attendee. I don't know if it's the same one as last time. How is Don's USI adjusting their corporate training courses for changes in regulations?
Actually, the big change for our delivery has been because of COVID going to, going to virtual training. What we found is that schools wanted an option to in-classroom training. We've had to upgrade or revise our curriculum to make sure that it's current with regulations. And I seem to recall that there was one of the questions that we had kicked around was what trends we're seeing in the industry. And having been part of the industry since before there was an industry, what we see now, and I think Sean may have, or Shane rather, may have actually touched on this, but what I'm seeing, especially in the utility industry, is they've had drones. I was talking to a statewide utility company the other day. They've had drones for 10 years and just suddenly realized they don't have really a drone program. And they've recently gone out and bought $100,000 aircraft and realized it doesn't fit their mission. So based on that, and the company was giving them the money to buy stuff, but the guy at the very bottom of the chain realized we don't have a program. So I've seen a great desire for, and again, utility companies in particular, who want to professionalize their programs, and they're reaching out to companies skyward, to us, to help them assess where they're at, and help them get where they need to be in accordance with existing industry standards. So it's not just keeping up with regulations. It's very early on, we didn't have industry standards for the unmanned aircraft world. Now we have lots of different industry standards, and the need or the desire, the recognition of the need to professionalize their organizations, their unmanned aircraft operations. I'm seeing a great trend there.
Well, and I would imagine, Don, too, that there's sort of a value-added component with the more these companies learn what they can do with their equipment, it's going to expand. I'm assuming a lot of them have equipment that is capable of things that they don't even realize.
Yeah, very true. I'm also finding great interest in accident investigation. Somebody mentioned attorneys and risk managers, and I did an accident investigation for a utility company. It didn't qualify as a regulatory defined accident, but a mishap that a utility, it was a commercial service provider supporting an electric utility. The electric utility was also starting their own UAS program. So they wanted to make sure that they didn't duplicate what happened by the what occurred with the commercial service provider. So seeing lots of interest there, all part of the professionalizing unmanned aircraft operations.
Excellent point there. And Garrett, just one other quick follow-up with you on this issue of training. And I know it's very different, obviously, with wildfire suppression and detection. Do you run into this issue with other agencies, other like firefighting groups that are not even aware of what they could be doing with drones, or they have drones and don't know how to use them? Is that a big issue that you see?
I think most public safety agencies are aware of drones and the advantage that they can add to their, their efforts. There are some limitations with training when it comes to wildland fire that some, firefighting agencies may not be aware of. In order to operate, a drone, you have to be in compliance with some of those Fed trainings or the DOI trainings. For initial attack, not so much, but once it gets established, public safety agencies cannot have drones out on those, on those fires, and most of them are aware of that because they ask, and then the feds go, "No, this is ours." And so, so there is a little bit of those limitations, and it kind of goes back, when those public safety or those fire departments want to become able to operate on wildland fires. It really comes back to the foreign drone ban, to where the drones that they have aren't allowed, so they can't even use those on wildland fires. So that foreign drone ban is really stopping some of those efforts. Again, on an initial attack they can use it, but once it gets established, they're not allowed to use them. As far as law enforcement, I've heard those same concerns with the technology, and I think everyone's kind of touched on it, but it just depends on the agency and what they're trying to use it for, and if they have anything to stop them from using foreign drones. So but right now I don't see anything where training as a whole or unaware of the technology is stopping them. I will say, and trying to plug it again, that we do want to standardize our training for public safety, and Charles with drone responders and NIST and NFPA is working towards that to make sure that there is a standardized training when it comes to public safety for drone operations.
Okay, great. Well, that is, as I'm checking our question panel again, and it doesn't look like there's anything, hopefully nothing got moved into the answer pile from anyone in our audience that hadn't been fully answered. Feel free to ask it again, but right now I'm not showing anything in the queue. And so I guess to the panelists, if there's anything else you want to bring up or mention or clarify or ask one another, please feel free to do so now. And otherwise, you know, Taylor, we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule, shockingly enough. And I believe you had some closing remarks that you wanted to give.
Thank you, Zach. I didn't really have a lot of closing remarks except, well, thank you, everybody. I hope you found this to be fun and informative if you were attending, and also as our panelists. I can't thank you enough for coming and participating and helping us out with getting the word out on this. It's very important that we have this type of dialogue and exposure. And so I really thank you for that. And I hope that we see you on the 18th of October in the beautiful mountains of Colorado. Let's see. I'm having one of my senior moments. Vic knows about those, don't you, Vic? Oh.
Yours or mine?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to pipe in real quick. Leah asked a good question about based on the Mercatus report, which I won't go into why the Mercatus report sucks. But does Colorado have a statewide task force or drone program office within the DOT? I think it was sort of answered in the panel, but if they're in the chat, but if that could be, maybe whoever might have a good answer for that, reach out or answer that for us.
Would that be Kevin?
Awesome. Oh, Kevin, no, not Kevin, because it wouldn't be statewide. It would. Who would be good? Great, Garrett. Could you answer that? Do you know?
There's no task force to my knowledge, but DOT does things without sharing sometimes. So, you know, that's something I could check into. I'm not sure if Jay knows.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in, Garrett. Thanks for the lead in here. Under Department of Transportation, and actually this is under which division of aeronautics is under Department of Transportation. They do have a drone office, but it's all about monitoring the I-70 corridor for the most part for avalanches, rock slides, and so forth. And they do periodic inspections using drones, measuring to make sure there isn't a rock slide about to happen. I have stakes, I think, on the sides of the mountain there where they can fly a drone and monitor. And then they do monitor for snowpack and avalanche type capability. I know in the mountains on the I-70 corridor. If they use them for other than that, I'm not sure, but I know, and this is under the Division of Aeronautics, which is under DOT, their drone program.
Thanks, Jay. I wonder. It looks like Sean and Don Zoldi actually are gone, but maybe this is something we tackle with UAS Colorado. Working something out.
Yeah, it sure would make sense to have as much of a coordinated effort as possible. So it's an interesting area to look into. I agree. All right, one more check of our question panel here, everyone, just to make sure. I think we're good. Panelists, one more time, just can't thank you enough for joining, and panelists, including all the speakers. This is clearly couldn't have done it without you. So I really enjoyed talking to everyone. I think I look forward to continuing this in the fall, and we appreciate you taking all the time to be with us today. So thank you, everyone. And
Zach, just want to let you know, I went ahead because we do have a few minutes, and if folks want to stick around and do some chat networking and that, I did open up the chat again for everybody. And again, since we're pretty well done, if you'd like to talk at all, raise your hand and I'll try and get there and allow your microphone to go as an attendee. Otherwise, do the panelists have any closing remarks that they want to make?
I think I'm good, Taylor. So I'm glad to hear, you got through, you have some simpler regulations to follow for your drone park. I know it was going to get expensive to have it surveyed and engineered, so I'm glad they were able to accommodate your project without, blowing your budget.
Yeah, we are too, and we sure appreciate how you helped us kind of get through that. We got that was pretty interesting experience.
Yeah, that was a great outcome. I'm glad to hear you're moving on.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thanks for the invite. It was awesome to hang out with everybody and chat. Look forward to getting out and flying in the drone park once it stops snowing all over Colorado.
It's all ready for you, Shane. We've been out there.
I should hopefully get out there in the next few weeks, so I'll get in touch.
Great.
No promises about the snow, though.
All right. Well, the chat is open. We'll leave the thing up for a little bit. If you guys want to network via the chat, you should be able to do that. I did have, who was it that raised their hand there that I missed? Hang on a second. Phil, I've got your mic, should be open now, sir.
Thanks, Taylor. I just wanted to say I thought this was a really great way to take advantage of the current circumstances and still do something really beneficial with, having what to me seemed like surprising access to the FAA today and on the perfect timing and new regs and all that stuff. It was just a really great response to the current situation. And I just joined the Central Colorado UAS Club, and so I'll be in touch that way and hopefully be over there to fly too. So
Success. Thanks, Phil.
I've meant to do that a long time ago, so this was a good reminder.
Yeah,
Also,
and I would like to say for the few that are around, we are a membership organization. Our dues are usurious. They're $60 a year, prorated as we go into the year. And those go to our pillars, our missions of public outreach and education. And also for those of you in positions, we have corporate sponsors. In fact, I was remiss in putting a slide together, but I did mention Dr. Gibb and Our Town Medical. ACA here actually donated in kind. We have a nice non-muddy road from into the drone flying park now, and the town installed that for us. Valley Precast also has given us in kind. We had a great idea, and Rick Moen knows that how easy they are to move. We have 32-inch cement manhole covers that were donated by Valley Precast. The True Value here in Buena Vista has helped us out. In fact, the beautiful buckets that you see on the bucket stands, Garrett, those are from True Value. We've had Rocky Mountain Lumber donate some lumber to us. I have to say, TNL Aviation is a corporate sponsor Who am I missing, folks? I can't think.
Water Conservancy.
Yeah, the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District. And so I would like to invite anybody out there who has a desire to help us, please reach out. And we'd love to have your corporate sponsorship or donations as well. So yeah, Rick Moen just says, we need CCUAS club members with healthy backs for work at the drone park. Pretty funny, but yeah, we'd love to have that. We'll send out an email with some information. We would like feedback, please, on how today went. And most of all, would you please send us your suggestions for topics that we should cover in October, on October 18th, 2021 at Mount Princeton Hot Springs Resort. Okay. And that's, Zach, I'm going to shut up now.
Well, let me do something then real quick here. For those of you not familiar with Zoom, you can save the chat. And there's some really good information in that chat. So what you do, if you go to the chat panel, you look at the bottom right, there's a little square with 3 dots on that. Click that and a save chat box pops up, and that'll save it as a text file on your computer.
Thanks, Vic. That's actually really helpful. I did not know that.
And we're not sure there's that capability for the Q&A, but
Q&A, I don't think so. Let me see.
My worthy, the vice president has been cutting and pasting that. And so hopefully we'll have that as well for folks who joined us, if it's not part of the Zoom. I know this, the chat saves for me with Zoom, and I should mention, we have been recording this. I'll probably divide it out into sections and put it on the club YouTube channel. For further reference, but there you have it, Zach.
Well, if Taylor's going to stop talking, I think we should all, savor the moment. And no, and again, Taylor, we all appreciate everything you've been doing, not just for this event today, but for the club and for the drone community. It's, none of this would happen without you. So we know you put in tons and tons of effort to make this possible. So thank you. And again, everyone who's been joining us, this has been a great morning. I've really enjoyed hearing all this. I can't wait for October. Consider this maybe the appetizer for the minute. Hopefully we'll see you all and actually get to meet everyone and talk in person. I think the networking will be a little more fun when it's not in the chat box. But for now, I think we made it work. So thank you to everyone. Yeah, that's all I have.